Hey Canucks fans, a special treat for you today. It is Friday, January the 20th. We are a few days ahead of the night that the Canucks celebrate their annual Lunar New Year game. And I thought no better person to talk to about this game, about the jersey, about what we can expect, the sights and sounds of that day, than my good friend Trevor Lai, all the way here from
Shanghai.
From Shanghai, thank you. And now you're in my home office, Trevor.
Yeah, that's all the way from Shanghai to your office.
I love it. And last year, Trevor was gracious enough to join me on Zoom. I think even though you were in town, this year, the guy gets in his car and finds my home in beautiful Steveston. So thank you for coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm glad we could do this in person this year. You know, last year was fun, but it was a bit hectic.
Yes,
and, now this year everything feels a little bit more comfortable and open.
That is awesome. So how long are you here for?
Well, I'm here for about a week. Finish the game. I'm sure I'm going to have some, post-game interviews and things like that. And then got to get back.
Now, before we talk about the jersey that we're going to see next week, I am looking at the jersey that you're wearing right now. So you were at the game on Wednesday night.
Yes.
When they freed the skate.
Yes.
How did it feel to be there at the arena?
Oh, it was incredible. I felt like first of all, I think most of us perhaps watching, are the fans of the skate. Yeah. And so we were anticipating and hoping and asking for this to happen for so long. And then to finally be there in the arena when it switched over, and all the lights went to these colors, the black, the red, the yellow. And I remember thinking, oh, this is so amazing. This is kind of a piece of modern, Canucks history where this jersey gets announced officially as a third jersey. And then add on top of that, of course, the very poignant tribute to Gino Ocic and the fact that he wore these colors.
It's almost a perfect
play. Yeah. And then all the alumni, lining up together. Yeah. And it really felt special. So I think, hats off to the Canucks for organizing that, pulling that together. And then, of course, to be sitting there in the jersey was...
one of the first ones, I'm sure.
Yeah. I had people...
You have connections. We can say that. Yeah.
Well, you do too. Yeah. And then, on Twitter, I had fans being like, that was so fast. And, I just felt like it was a real honor to be part of that night.
Good.
And moving forward, I think obviously many more fans will be able to feel the same way.
Great. And I vlogged about it on Wednesday night, how there's a lot of speculation, rumors, guerrilla marketing campaign. So it was all leading towards a release soon. And to almost seamlessly tied into the Gino tribute, I thought it came across really well.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of destiny, probably.
For sure. Okay, so it looks good. We won't do a jersey review, but I know that Trevor and I we both like it.
We love it. And the numbers, if I will say one thing, first of all, at the games now, when you see this jersey on the ice, they really pop. And then secondly, I think the numbers was something that really stood out to me now. Just the treatment of them and the balance looks amazing. So I think fans are going to be really impressed once they see the jerseys more during the game.
And you guys, take this from an expert in design. Me, I'm just some schmuck who vlogs, turns on a camera once in a while. I have no eye for this kind of thing. People know, actually, I joke around on my channel how people say, well, what's your favorite retro jersey? Or what's your favorite? I say, I don't know. I just look at them and wear them and whatever. But you, as a designer, you can appreciate a lot of the finer, details.
Yeah, you could say it's part of my job.
So let's talk about that. What is your job, and then how did that lead you to this Lunar New Year project again? Yeah.
Well, a lot of Canucks fans may not know that I actually do have a job. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Up Studios. So we create original animation TV shows based on characters that I created.
Awesome.
So our most famous character is Super Boomy.
Yes.
So this is the adorable little star of our cartoon series. I created this.
What is that, by the way? Is that a bear? Or?
It's a bear.
Okay,
it's a bear. Sure. Yeah, it's a fair question. Only the tough questions on Clay's show.
Of course.
It is a polar bear, but I gave him these whiskers because when I was designing the character, I wanted him to have like an identifiable feature that would make him stand out from all the other bears and polar bears and things like that. So it was kind of one of those things where once you look at the polar bear with whiskers, you'll never mistake him for any other bear. And so that was kind of the idea.
Yeah.
And then so once I came up with the first, episode of Super Boomy, then I turned it into a series.
Okay.
And then we were really lucky. We found a great partner called Tencent. Mm-hmm. And so Tencent obviously now has the biggest video platform in all of Greater China.
Wow.
And we launched the show, and right away, in our first month, we had 30 million views. Which now is actually, a small number. So we have over 6 billion views just in China.
Wow.
For just Super Boomy, the series.
Yeah.
And season 7 launched last week.
Yeah.
So in addition to being the founder of the Up Studios, I write and I direct every episode.
You do? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so I'm a writer, director, producer as my actual job.
Yes.
And then obviously the character design, like Boomy, I designed him, and I designed all of the main cast. So now I have a big team at Up Studios, and obviously they work with me together on everything. But as sort of the heart and soul of the company, that's my job every day.
That is pretty cool.
So the Canucks jersey design and all the great things that we do with the Canucks, it's just because of my passion for the team.
Awesome.
And in a way you could say that's like me living out my childhood dream.
Right, because you were born and raised here.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of imported hockey, if you will, with me when I went over there. And so, to be able to combine my passion for hockey with what I do for work together, I feel like that's a dream come true. And so I'm just very honored and blessed, to be working on it.
That's awesome. And Boomy, you said 7 years ago, so 2000...
2017 is when the show went on the air.
Awesome.
But we started producing in 2016, so I guess like 6 years ago.
So fun fact, friends, before we get into the Lunar New Year talk, these cups, these San Jose All-Star Game 2019, this is actually where I met Trevor for the first time. You were there with Boomy or someone wearing a Boomy costume.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, it was Boomy. It was Boomy.
It was Trevor, Boomy, and I got to meet these guys for the first time. And look, 4 years later, we're talking about our favorite team together. That's
right.
Cool.
That's right.
Okay,
very cool.
So let's do that. So last year, was that the first time you designed for the Canucks?
Exactly. First time I designed the jersey for them.
Okay, that was which one?
The Year of the Tiger.
My year.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So multiple of 12. So you guys can guess if I'm 24, 36, 48, or 60.
We're going with 24.
Okay, thank you.
So a lot of fans obviously saw us last year when we talked, and I think this jersey had obviously blown up. And the fan base loved it, but also really important for me was the entire NHL seemed to embrace it. Like I had fans from everywhere, all different teams, the Leafs, the Wild, their fans, the Habs, they were messaging and saying,
"Were the Canucks the only team that did one?"
No, I think other teams selectively have done them because they get to choose which ones celebrate it. But I just mean fans of different teams were actually celebrating a Canucks jersey.
Yes.
Which I felt like was a big accomplishment just as a sports fan. And then, obviously the impact we had on the community was incredible because the Canucks, donated a very generous sum to the Chinatown Foundation, Eliminate Hate. Yeah. And that was really my original motivation for doing the jersey is other than, I wanted to design something cool, is more importantly, I wanted to tell a story about why all the anti-Asian activity was something that needed to be addressed and why we needed to bring our community together. As you know, and as we know, when we grew up here, British Columbia was already so diverse. Yeah. And I'm sure all of us went through certain phases of bullying and things like that, but on the whole, you felt, safe and you felt welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt like, last year prior to the Year of the Tiger, there had been a change. And I felt like it was a change that was in the wrong direction. And so I felt like the Year of the Tiger jersey could move us forward in a positive way.
Wonderful.
To unite everyone, to look at this design, the tiger jumping out of the water, and think about, well, we have the power to change our surroundings with positive, thoughts, positive energy, strength. It takes a lot of strength, I think, to enact change.
Yes.
And so last year that message got through so strongly. I'm so thankful to all the Canucks fans and your viewers here as well for making my jersey last year such a huge success that this year I felt extra pressure. For Year of the Rabbit. First of all, let me state for a context. I think a rabbit is a lot harder than a tiger.
You're right.
Because especially in the sports world, tigers, they're fierce, they're powerful. You have instant connotations of athleticism.
Yeah, you just explain me. Fierce.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I did when I was drawing. I was like, Clay. What would Clay look like if he was jumping out of water?
There you go.
Picture that, fans. So then this year it was like, well, rabbit. What do you do with a rabbit? And I think probably a lot of people were not envying my job of needing to come up with a cool design for rabbit. Yeah. But I think I nailed it. this year, and obviously the first question I asked was, can I use the skate logo?
And just so for context here, so now that it's been out there for a few hours now, and people have seen it, and all the feedback I've got, well, I love it, and for that's what I know fans are already talking about it. Yeah, the time. Okay, I'll stop interrupting. The timing, the skate logo. Go ahead. That's so exciting to me.
Sure. Yeah. So this was last year, and I just, the first question I asked was, I'd already done the orca and the tiger jumping out and transforming the orca. I said, for Year of the Rabbit, can I use the skate? And we talked a little bit about it, and they're like, oh, it might be possible, it might not be possible, and then finally, remember when they gave me the answer, yes, you can use the skate. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I wanted to do the skate. It was my favorite. It was my first jersey, that I got as a kid. And so I said, this is amazing. This is perfect. And then it's kind of like when you get what you wish for. Then I looked at the skate jersey. And I'm like, how do I make that a rabbit? How do I got the logo I wanted. And it's way harder. I mean, the orca was hard, but this was even harder.
So wait, when you said, can I do the skate? It wasn't, can I do the skate because I have a great vision of a rabbit? It was, I want to do not the orca.
Well, I think it's both.
Okay.
So I had a great vision of, I want the rabbit to be associated with speed.
Right.
So that was my initial thought. Right. But there's a difference between having an idea and having a design. So the idea was, well, of all the logos we could choose, you've got the stick and rink and things like that. That doesn't really connote speed. So for me, it was just the skate. Plus, I love the skate. And plus, I wanted to do something different than last year.
Sure.
So it just worked, And then when they agreed, then my first job was to think about, how do I make it work? How do I make a rabbit work with the skate? Now, interestingly enough, when I had finished the Year of the Tiger campaign, I was flying back to Shanghai. On the airplane, I had started sketching rabbits.
So 12 months already.
Because that's just how I work. It's like, it was such a success that I was like, oh, I hope I can come back next year and do this. And on the airplane, seriously, I was already doing sketches. Obviously, the eventual logo looks nothing like what I sketched on the plane, but that's how soon. I really believe that you seed the universe with your ideas, and so sooner you start working on something, the sooner you can get to improving it, making it better, and then bringing it into the universe. So finally, after months of design and things like that, we were able to lock down the skate design and the rabbit interpretation that I created. And then I also had to do the shoulder patch.
Right.
So last year, one of the things that a lot of fans and media commented about was the shoulder patch I designed. And sometimes the shoulder patch could be like an afterthought or a throwaway on jerseys, but I wanted to make it just as special as the main logo and infuse it with as much meaning as possible. So last year was amazing. I felt like the gateway was a perfect shoulder patch, and then I had to think about, how do I top it this year? So I thought of something which was the idea of a lantern, and the lantern itself is a metaphor for shining your light on those around you, and then on a larger scale, on our team, but also on an even larger scale, the fact that everyone in British Columbia and truly the world is under the same sun. And so on the lantern, you will see the sun, which is inspired by the British Columbia flag, the sun on the flag. And then it's contained within a lantern, and that lantern obviously encompasses everything from Asian culture, to our city, to our team, and shining that light outwards.
See, I'm learning so much because you and I chat on social media. Oh, by the way, where can people follow you on Twitter if they want?
Absolutely. Up Studios World.
Awesome. So I know we trade messages, and I always appreciate, Trevor, how you're not doing this. I know you're not, because of your character, you're not doing this for the fame or for a resume patter. You actually look at this as ways to share not only your talent, but more importantly, a message.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether it's hope, or whether it's light, or shining, or being that light to others. And it's so needed in this world, no matter what you believe in or what your foundations or morals are. Everyone needs light, everyone needs love, everyone needs joy, and this world's been crazy the last 4 years.
Absolutely. And you nailed it right on the head. Everyone needs inspiration. Everyone deserves to be uplifted. And I feel like I have a certain, you could say, amount of talent and ability, and I feel like I should give that ability to the world.
Right.
And when I saw the reaction last year, if anything, I felt even more of a responsibility this year to continue to share a positive message, to continue to inspire even more people with my designs, and to start a conversation. I was really proud of the fact that people talked about, the 3 Chinese characters inside the gateway last year. They talked about what it meant, and when they drove past Chinatown, they probably looked at it and they're like, oh yeah, and those conversation starters, I think, is how we build bridges. Yeah. And so everything that I do in terms of these designs and these projects is really about building these bridges in our community, in our fan base. The world is so fractured.
Yes.
And it is so easy, especially in the sports world, to even be fractured amongst ourselves. Yeah. And I think, that's natural. There's a lot of things that happen that cause you to be emotional. But if I can provide some sort of unifying light and energy that's positive just through my design and through the emotions that it evokes in people, I think that I've done, a good job. I've used my talents in a good way.
And this is about you, not us or me, but I do think that's also why we get along so well. As you know, I preach positivity. I'm realistic, but I try to use my channel to bring people together, to build a community. And I love how you are doing that through all of your good work. And it's so funny, like we have to admit that the fracturedness that we see in our own little Canucks sphere, that is only a microcosm of more important things, quite frankly.
Sure, absolutely. And so when I always talk to friends or family, and we talk about what can you do when the world is so crazy and the world is so fractured, I believe that you can focus on what you can control.
Yes.
Now, you and I can't control all of these major macro things. But we can control what we do every day. You with your channel, me with my cartoons like Boomy, the characters, and and the designs that I'm doing with the Vancouver Canucks. And the one thing that I can control is I can pour my heart and soul into everything I do. So every detail you see on the jerseys I design, to the shoulder patch, to even the way that I share the story. For example, at the Saturday's storytelling event.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's my way of saying, I'm giving it 3,000%.
Yes.
So that's what I can control. And then once I've put that energy into the universe, hopefully, the positivity comes back the other way.
That's awesome. So thank you for all that. So you did a great job of explaining the patch, the sun, the lantern. We almost skipped over the actual logo.
I know.
Let's go. Give us a...
So the challenge, was making a rabbit cool, basically. And so the first thought I had was, what does a rabbit represent? So to me, a rabbit represents speed, agility, but also playfulness. I think rabbits are known as, cute and adorable, and they're so fun, and they're fast. And I thought, that's really wonderful, because last year's message was a little bit more somber, a little bit, steely. Yeah. And I felt like for this year, can we celebrate ourselves? Can we find something to celebrate, right? Yeah. And I thought rabbits are perfect for that, because rabbits, I feel like they don't have a care in the world, right? They're hopping around and, running around, and they're playing. And there's something about that I just felt perfect to match the sense of joy I want. There is a joy of hockey where, I play hockey in Shanghai, and there's just something about win or lose, you're skating. Yeah. You're on the ice, you put on a jersey, you're part of a team. Yes. There is just joy in that. Yeah. And going back to, again, what I said earlier, of all the things you can't control, I do think one of the things you can control is recognizing the joy that you can have from something as simple as, watching a hockey game or enjoying a great meal with friends. Yes. Being in an interview. There is so much joy that can be, contained in those small moments. So coming back to the jersey, I thought I want fans and people to look at the Year of the Rabbit jersey I designed and feel joy. Yeah. Right away, feel the joy of hockey, why we love this game in the first place, imbue it with that happiness. And I think, that's what the design does first and foremost. Then, because I can't help myself as a designer, then I start getting into all the details, all the crazy
and
nuances.
Yes.
So first of all, one of the things I always do before I start a design is I want to respect the original design. So I look at this and I think about all of these speed lines. They're iconic, and the angle is something that you and I subconsciously, if we just look at a logo that is angled in this way and has these lines, we're going to immediately go to the skate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the challenge was, well, I can't have a rabbit, with all these lines all over it. It would look like a zebra.
Or like it got run over by someone.
Just not good images. And then so I thought, well, I have to subconsciously remind you that this is the skate. But I'm going to go the further extreme. I'm going to remove the skate and replace it with the rabbit. So again, using, I guess you could say now it's become my style, is transforming the original logo into the animal that I'm using for the year. And so I transformed the skate into the rabbit, but on the hind legs of the rabbit, it has speed lines that are perfectly aligned to the original logo speed lines. And then I took those speed lines and I redrew them as lucky clouds.
Oh, so
for Chinese New Year,
okay.
Yes, you have the lucky clouds.
Yeah.
So I took the exact same angle. You can line them up perfectly. Please go out and try it. Line up my new logo with the original skate logo right here. And you'll see the angles are perfectly lined up, but I've redrawn them in a more sort of delicate way, elegant way, so that you can see the lucky clouds. So the message behind that is that the team, the rabbit, the fans who are wearing my design are hopefully being propelled forward with good fortune. So the lucky clouds are carrying us.
So I got half of that. So obviously when I saw the poof of smoke, I thought it was like speed, right?
Yes.
But the lucky, that makes a lot of sense now.
So you can kind of think of it as like skating on good fortune.
Okay.
Yeah, skating on good clouds, or good clouds carrying you forward, lucky clouds. Yeah. So that was one big part of the design. And then this red band all across, all around the logo. Yeah. I looked at it and I thought, this could be a kind of shield, protecting us. And in Chinese, there's a word called rui. And rui, in a way, also means that fortune, that positive energy that can surround us. And so I thought, well, that's a wonderful message to have, kind of like encapsulating and keeping the rabbit, if you will, safe and sound. And that represents our team, and our fans moving forward when they wear it. I hope they feel that sort of extra power, that boost from the good fortune. So all of these pattern elements are what, I put into the rabbit itself. And then obviously, finally, I had to make it look cool. So I didn't want it to look like a rabbit riding a skate,
right?
Or, like
or falling down.
Yeah, exactly. So I designed the rabbit's pose so that it's leaping forward.
Yes.
And that was really important to me because typically, again, rabbits, you see them in a lot of traditional art. They're sitting. Yeah. Or they're doing like a gentle little hop or something like that. And I thought, well, for the Canucks and for this design, I want it to be leaping forward. So even though it's not a fierce animal, it can still have power. Its hind legs are very powerful. Legs in hockey are very important. You need your legs. And so, I drew it so that it's diving forward, it's leaping forward.
Jim Rutherford would want the team to leap forward, I think. Yes.
I think we all do. And so that's kind of the pose of the rabbit, and that's what that means, is it's leaping forward, it's being carried by the winds of good fortune.
Yes.
Represented by the lucky clouds. It's hopefully being protected as well, and also just surrounded by good fortune with the pattern. And so that's all the elements kind of together.
That's so awesome. And I joked around about just looking at something and saying I like it, but I don't really get into why. But just to hear 4 or 5 different elements there. Yeah. The leaping forward, the racing lines, the lucky clouds, the shield, and that overall sense of good fortune, and protect. So, wow. So out of all those things, what's if you had to say my favorite part of this logo? There's the one thing that I'm super proud of.
I think, well, first of all, just overall, I'm super proud of the fact that I was able to pull it off.
Of course.
I think to be able to come with the original challenge, which was how do you transform this beloved skate logo into something that celebrates the Lunar New Year, that celebrates this animal, and then celebrates the team in a meaningful way. I think I'm proud of that overall. Yeah. I think in terms of the execution, I really like how the lucky clouds and the speed lines line up perfectly. Awesome. That was something I did with intention and the fact that it works. And I think people will look at my logo and they'll say, well, okay, that's amazing, but I feel like it reminds me of something. And then they'll go back to the skate logo and they can compare them side by side. And then if they do the overlay, they'll be like, wow.
That's pretty cool.
You know, the designer really went to the trouble of respecting the original design and putting that subconscious, you know, detail reminder in there. I think that's what maybe, you know, the designers will appreciate and fans will appreciate.
So all you kids out there that still have overhead projectors, just got to do that and see it. Just before we get to the event tomorrow, which I want to give you a chance to talk about.
Sure.
Talk about how then, the one nuance that I'm fascinated by, Trevor, because I get into these kind of things, is the fact that you work for a whole year on this skate jersey, yet by fluke or by destiny, it gets released. The actual official third jersey is revealed a week before your You're the Rabbit jersey comes out, and it's the same logo. And so there's a perfect connection as opposed to an unintentional disconnect.
Yeah, you know, I think obviously the credit for that goes to the Canucks. I think the one thing I can say is whatever you're trying to do, like in my case, a year ago, I was just trying to say, can I do a logo based on the skate? I was, from a personal standpoint, I just wanted to do it. But it was done with a good intention. As I explained earlier, all the reasons I wanted to do the skate. And I just think that that's how the world works. I think if you approach things, whether it's in business or in projects or in life, if you approach things with the right intentions and you just dedicate yourself to doing the best job you possibly can on what you can control.
Yes.
The theme of today's interview. Yes. That's what I did.
I love it.
And I had no knowledge whatsoever that the third jersey was going to be launched, you know, this week, a year ago when I was working on this.
That's crazy.
I had no idea. And so I just tried to make it as good and cool as possible in isolation. And then, lo and behold, the universe, you know, sees that perhaps and then says, well, it just so happens that the team has been planning this. You know, I think that night had been planned long in advance. Long in advance. In which case, we're kind of working, you know, parallel with the same intentions. And so that's why it's beautiful and it's wonderful, because the jersey to be officially launched, you know, this week, and then my jersey to follow up. Now I feel like fans get this like double dose of what they love. And in a fresh and exciting way though, because they'll see it, it's refreshed. I think this jersey has refreshed their passion for it. And then they'll see my jersey and it'll be a fresh take on it. You know, and so I think that's something that is just the universe at work.
Oh, that's awesome. And next year is Year of Dragon, right?
Yes.
So we got to be careful then, because you unintentionally might set the course for the next jersey.
Well, that's the thing that I love doing, is I always set the bar so high. And then if you look at my Rabbit jersey this year and the Tiger jersey, you're going to look at it and be like, wow, they're so different. They're totally different. The only common thing I think you would find between them is the thoughtfulness I put into the details. You could call that my style, right? The fact that there's all these layers that you can keep peeling back. You'll look at it and maybe come back to it later, or you'll watch this, you know, show and you'll learn something new. And that's what I love doing. That I think has become my signature when it comes to doing anything hockey related.
Oh, awesome!
Adding all these layers. So next year, you know, obviously I would love to complete the hat trick. And I want to do the Year of the Dragon, so I want to put that in the universe. But I have something already starting to form in my mind, which I think would be incredible and also has never been done before. And so that would be so different. And the reason I call it the hat trick, obviously, other than the poetry of hockey, is that I think it completes, you know, the trilogy. You know, the initial trilogy. As we know, all good things, you know, they have a trilogy. And I feel like I broke the mold with the Year of the Tiger. You know, I hope exceeded expectations with the Year of the Rabbit. And then with the Dragon, I can just be unleashed, you know, and to do something amazing for the fan base, amazing for the game of hockey. So that's what I'm really excited about next year.
And then after the next year, you do 3 more trilogies and you cover all 12.
All of them, exactly. My life's work has been completed.
Amazing. All right, let's do this. I want to give you a few minutes to talk about the cool event that's happening tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. So last year, as I mentioned, the Chinatown Foundation and the Chinatown Storytelling Center, you know, were really things to be celebrated as part of the campaign. They're important parts of the Asian community, but also for the community at large. So anyone can visit the Storytelling Center. I've been there a couple times myself now, and it's amazing to feel a part of our history, our shared history here together in Vancouver. And so tomorrow I will be presenting from 4 to 5 p.m. and I will be talking about my journey as a young Chinese Canadian, how I ended up designing all these cool things for the Canucks, how I ended up creating Boomy, a huge cartoon series, and the behind the scenes, I think, is what's going to really inspire people. Because when you see the finished product, sometimes it's so polished, it looks so cool that you're like, wow, I'm so far away from that.
Yeah.
You know, how could I ever do anything like that? And, you know, last year when we launched the jersey, I put a photo of myself wearing the skate jersey as a kid, and I looked at it, and it felt like this surreal moment where I was looking at myself and not obviously at that time thinking that I would ever be sitting here talking about a jersey that the players are wearing on the ice. And that's why the event at the Chinatown Storytelling Center is so important. Yeah. I wanted to do it because I want more kids, families, young designers, you know, older designers, anybody who has a dream to come down to the event and hopefully be inspired by my story. And I share these behind the scenes things because I want people to see how these dreams are made. And I feel like you need to see in person and to hear these personal stories in order to feel like it's relatable.
Yes.
And not something that's just forever unachievable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's why you take anybody that you think is amazing, like, you know, for musically, we might say in Canada, Drake is like the pinnacle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you see Drake in this huge music video, you're thinking like, wow, that's so far away from me.
Yes.
But then you see the old footage of him just rapping and writing, you know, in a notebook, a dirty notebook, you know? Yeah. And you start the behind the scenes, how much time he spends in the studio and things like that. That's what I want to bring to the presentation at the Storytelling Center on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so for that just 1 hour, I'm going to be sharing all of these behind the scenes details about the 2 jerseys now that I've designed.
Yes.
Some animation, so I've brought some animation of the logos and how they come to life. And then I'll be talking about how do you make a cartoon, because I know so many artists, there's so many aspiring artists and authors. I was a children's book author first here in Vancouver. Yeah. So I used to drive around to the different bookstores selling my books from the back of my truck.
Wow.
And now I have a show with over 6 billion views worldwide. We just sold it to the biggest, you know, television media conglomerate in Singapore. So it'll be airing next month. I have a second show called Piggy, which also sold there. So all of these things happened because I started here and I started drawing in my sketchbook and started from, you know, really humble beginnings. And I want to share that story and inspire people. So hopefully,
that's awesome.
If you want to come down, you can go to our Instagram, Up Studios World, and you can find a link to get to register for the event.
Right. So you do have to pre-register, though.
Yes, you do have to pre-register because there's a limited number of seats.
Yeah.
And also because, let me tell you something, here's an exclusive. We will be giving away a pair of tickets to the Canucks Lunar New Year game.
Which is Tuesday night.
January 24th. Yeah. So we'll be giving it away right at the event.
Wow.
And it's only going to be for people who attend our event.
Yes.
So if I will say the odds will be higher because there's limited seating. So I'm working the numbers. If I was a fan, I'd be like, I'm going there and maybe obviously first to hopefully see Trevor, but also the chance to get a pair of tickets to a really cool game, you know, is right there. So, you know, thank you to the Canucks and to the Chinatown Storytelling Center for hosting me. And I'm really excited about sharing that story on Saturday.
Okay, so Chinatown Storytelling Center.
Yes.
4 to 5 p.m.
Yes.
And it's somewhere in Chinatown. Obviously.
Yes, it's on Pender Street. It's on Pender Street. If you go to Up Studios World on Instagram, we've got the address, we've got the links, and the Chinatown Storytelling Center is all over my Instagram.
Awesome.
So people will be able to find it. Yeah.
Well, this is the fastest 30 minutes I think I've ever experienced. But thank you. Are you okay to sit through a 2-minute wind down here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just sit there and look good like you always do.
Okay.
Friends, I was so blessed to have Trevor here, not only sharing his story and the design and all the nuances in the logo, but actually taking the time to come here and to record this. And he did this because he wanted to share his story with all of you on this channel. So thank you, Trevor. In the comments, put down in the comments what stood out to you the most from what Trevor said. Is it the way he got to the jersey? Is it something actually specific in the logo? Is it his outlook on life, or is it just simply why he named this guy Boomy? Whatever stands out to you, put it in the comments. I'd love to read, react, reply as always. I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Van City Experts Real Estate, that's Jason Lim and his team. Also Perform and Transform Personal Training Weight Loss. And legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Justin Credible, legendary Andrew Chang, Hall of Fame members, franchise members, and all of you for continuing to support me on this channel. So on your way out, subscribe, like the video, leave a donation, become a member, upgrade your membership, and most importantly, leave a comment in the comment section of the thing that Trevor said that most resonates with you. Trevor, hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, I hope so. Next year.
Yes, check out the jersey, check out the logo, leave a comment, and check them out at the Chinatown Storytelling Center.
Yes.
Tomorrow. And I'll see you guys. I'm at the game tonight, Colorado, Saturday, Edmonton, and Tuesday for the big Lunar New Year games, seeing the jerseys in person. So if you're at the arena, make sure you say hi. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go
Canucks, go.